Ladies and gentlemen, there's a moment in every life when you begin to understand your worth. When you start to realize that you were never meant to just exist, but to make an impact, to leave a mark on the world that others cannot ignore. You see, the world can be a hard place, filled with noise, distractions, and people who may never understand you. But trust me, that's not your problem, it's theirs. You are not meant to be understood by everyone. Some people will never see the greatness within you, but that does not mean it's not there. Sometimes the people who don't appreciate your value are the very ones who will regret losing you. They'll wake up one day and realize that they let something precious slip through their fingers. And that, my friends, is their loss. You didn't come here to play small. You didn't come here to be ordinary. You didn't come here to be comfortable. Life is not about being comfortable, it's about growth. It's about pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible. It's about seeing obstacles not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to rise higher, to be stronger, to become more than you ever imagined. Now, I know that it can feel frustrating when you give everything you have to someone or something and it's not reciprocated. When you show up, when you put your heart into something and it feels like no one notices. But let me tell you something, just because they don't recognize your value doesn't mean your value isn't there. The world may try to make you feel like you don't belong. It will throw challenges at you that will seem impossible. But understand this, those challenges are shaping you. They're preparing you for something bigger. You have to trust that the setbacks are not failures. They are just stepping stones on your journey. I've seen people throw away opportunities, throw away relationships, and throw away their own potential because they couldn't see beyond the moment. They couldn't see the bigger picture. They couldn't see the kind of person you were becoming. But one day they'll look back and they'll wish they had seen it then. They'll regret the times they took you for granted. They'll regret the moments they underestimated you. But here's the thing, your worth isn't tied to anyone else's recognition. Your worth isn't measured by the opinions of others. Your worth is determined by you. And I want you to understand something deep down in your soul. When people don't recognize your value, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. It's a reflection of their own limited vision, their own inability to see what you bring to the table. You don't need anyone else to validate your worth. If you're waiting for that, you'll be waiting forever. The world doesn't owe you anything. It's up to you to take what you deserve. It's up to you to show the world what you're made of. And if someone doesn't see that, then it's not your problem, it's theirs. You've got greatness inside of you. I don't care where you're from, what you've been through, or what your circumstances are. Greatness is in your blood. There are people out there who will try to tear you down. There are people who will doubt you, who will criticize you, who will try to make you feel small. But here's the truth, those people are just scared. They are scared of the power that you hold, scared of what you might become. You're not here to play by the rules. You're here to break the rules. You're here to redefine what's possible. You're here to show the world that the impossible is just the untried. And when people try to hold you back, when they try to stop you from moving forward, just remember they are the ones who are going to regret it. They'll regret that they didn't see the fire in you when it was burning quietly. They'll regret that they didn't value your loyalty when you gave it to them. They'll regret that they didn't understand your vision when it was still in its infancy. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You don't have to prove anything to anyone except yourself. You don't need anyone's permission to live the life you're meant to live. They'll regret losing you not because of who you are right now, but because of who you are becoming. They'll regret the missed chances, the missed moments, the missed opportunities to witness your rise. But by then, you'll be too far gone. You'll be on a different path, climbing higher, breaking barriers, achieving things they could never have imagined. You know why? Because you didn't wait around for their approval. You didn't wait around for them to see your potential. You knew what you were capable of, and you went after it. You worked, you sacrificed, you showed up, even when no one was looking. You stayed true to yourself, even when the world tried to tell you to be something else. And now you are the one who's going to make it. Listen, life is tough. You're going to face hard times. You're going to face challenges that make you question everything you've ever believed in. But the people who are willing to keep pushing, keep going, Keep going, keep fighting through those hard times. Those are the people who come out on top. Those are the people who show the world that they are not to be ignored. Those are the people who will make others regret ever underestimating them. So keep going. Don't stop. Don't look back. There will be people who try to pull you down, people who try to make you feel small. Let them. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them criticize. Because while they're talking, you're working. While they're trying to hold you back, you're moving forward. And when it's all said and done, when you've reached the heights they could never dream of, that's when they'll realize too late that they lost you. And by then it won't matter. You see, your success is not about showing them how great you are. It's about proving to yourself that you have what it takes to make it. Your victory is not in their acknowledgement. It's in your own belief that you could do it. And when you do, when you rise above it all and show the world what you're capable of, they'll regret it. They'll regret not seeing the value in you when they had the chance. But you won't be there to see it. You'll be too busy living your life, too busy achieving your dreams, too busy being everything they thought you couldn't be. I want you to remember this: you are not here to make anyone else comfortable. You are not here to meet anyone else's expectations. You are here to make your own path, to take control of your destiny, and to live the life you were born to live. If they don't see it, it's okay. You keep going. You keep moving forward. Because one day when they look back, they'll realize exactly what they lost. And when they do, you will be long gone on your way to something bigger and better, leaving them in the dust, still trying to figure out what went wrong. But you'll know what went right because you kept going. You kept believing in yourself. You kept your vision clear. And most importantly, you kept your head up and your heart strong. Never forget that your worth is not determined by anyone's recognition. Your worth is something you define. The world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe it to yourself to rise above, to break free from the chains that hold you down, and to show them what they missed out on. And when they regret losing you, you'll already be too far ahead. True value isn't dependent on others' recognition or approval. You are the one who determines your worth, and external validation isn't necessary for you to rise to your full potential. Life will challenge you, but setbacks are not failures, they're opportunities for growth. Stay committed to your path, trust the process, and use adversity as fuel for your journey. You don't need anyone else to validate your dreams, vision, or capabilities. Trust your instincts, take risks, and pursue your goals relentlessly, even when others fail to recognize your potential. Those who fail to appreciate your value will eventually regret it when they see you succeed. Their doubt is a reflection of their own limitations, not your abilities. Success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you can rise above challenges. Focus on your growth, keep moving forward, and leave behind those who doubt you. In time, they'll realize what they missed out on. There is a profound power in understanding that your worth is self-defined. It's a realization that has the ability to shift your mindset and transform the way you live your life. We live in a world where so many of us are conditioned to seek validation from external sources, whether it's from other people, societal standards, or even from material success. From an early age, we're taught to measure ourselves against certain benchmarks: academic achievement, career success, wealth, popularity, beauty, and so on. It's easy to get caught up in this cycle, to measure your value based on what others think or what you've achieved in comparison to someone else. But the truth is that none of these external markers are the true measure of your worth. Your worth is not something that can be quantified by numbers, accolades, or applause. It's not about how much money you make or how many followers you have. It's not about the degrees on your wall or the titles that you carry. These things may be a reflection of your journey, of the hard work you've put in, or the circumstances you've encountered, but they do not define who you are at your core. Your worth is much deeper than that. Your worth is inherent, not earned. It's not something you have to prove or defend. It's something that exists within you from the moment you are born. From the time you take your first breath, you are already worthy. You are already complete. It is only through the lens of external influences and expectations that we begin to doubt our worth. Society tells us that in order to be good enough, we must do, achieve, or possess certain things. But what happens when those things don't materialize? What happens when you don't meet society's expectations or when you don't live up to the image of success that others have created for you? That's when the struggle begins. You start questioning your worth. You start to feel less than, as though you don't measure up. You look around and see others achieving what you long for, and you think that because you haven't achieved the same, there must be something wrong with you. But let me tell you something very clearly. The world has its own definition of success, but that is not your definition. The path you're walking is uniquely yours, and no one can walk it exactly the way you do. When you allow external forces to dictate your worth, you give up your power. You allow someone else's judgment to define who you are, and that is a dangerous place to be. People will always have their opinions, and they will always have something to say about how you live your life. But you must learn to block out those voices. You must learn to recognize that their opinions are a reflection of their experiences, their biases, and their values, none of which necessarily align with yours. This is not to say that we should be entirely dismissive of feedback or advice. Constructive criticism can be valuable in helping us grow. But there's a big difference between feedback from those who genuinely want to help you grow and the judgment of those who seek to bring you down. When you allow the opinions of others to dictate your self-worth, you diminish your own sense of agency and self-respect. Your value is not dependent on someone else's perspective of you, and it never will be. The first step in understanding that your worth is self-defined is realizing that you are enough exactly as you are. You are worthy of love, respect, and success, regardless of what you have or haven't achieved. Your worth is not conditional on any of those things. If you never accomplish a single thing, you are still worthy. If you don't live up to the expectations of others, you are still worthy. If you make mistakes or fall short in some area, you are still worthy. It's in our imperfections, our struggles, and our humanity that our true worth shines through. Understanding that your worth is self-defined also means letting go of the need to constantly compare yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it is also the thief of self-worth. When you compare your journey to someone else's, you diminish the unique beauty of your own path. Everyone is walking their own road, and just because someone is further along or has different achievements doesn't mean they are more worthy than you. They are simply on their own path. Your journey may look different, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. In fact, the very fact that it's different makes it uniquely yours. The world needs what you have to offer: your story, your perspective, your talents, your heart. No one else can offer that in the way that you can. Another aspect of understanding that your worth is self-defined is recognizing that failure does not diminish your value. Failure is not a reflection of your worth, it is simply a part of the process. We often tie our worth to success, to the idea that we must win or achieve in order to be valuable. But success and failure are simply experiences we go through in life. They do not define who we are. If you fail, you are not a failure. You are simply someone who tried, someone who took a risk, someone who learned and grew through the process. The most successful people in the world have experienced failure, sometimes over and over again. It is through these failures that they have gained wisdom, resilience, and strength. And it is through your failures that you will gain the same. When you understand that your worth is not tied to your successes or failures, you free yourself from the pressure of perfectionism. You free yourself from the constant need to prove something to the world. You give yourself permission to simply be, to embrace the messy, imperfect, beautiful journey that is your life. You can make mistakes and you can still be worthy. You can face setbacks and you can still be worthy. Your worth is not contingent on how smooth or successful your path is. It is constant, unwavering, and always present. To fully embrace that your worth is self-defined, you must also learn to value yourself beyond external achievements. When we only tie our self-worth to accomplishments, we begin to feel empty once those accomplishments are no longer there or no longer satisfy us. The truth is, accomplishments, no matter how great, cannot fill the void of self-doubt. It's easy to think that once we reach a certain goal, once we achieve a specific status or acquire a certain possession, we will finally feel complete. But the reality is that the feeling of enoughness must come from within. It's about cultivating an inner sense of peace, an inner knowing that you are enough as you are. This means accepting yourself fully, the strengths, the weaknesses, the successes, and the failures. It means showing up for yourself every day, even when the world isn't showing up for you. It means standing tall in your truth and knowing that you have inherent value, regardless of what happens around you. Ultimately, embracing the idea that your worth is self-defined is a form of liberation. It frees you from the endless pursuit of external approval, the endless race to meet societal standards, and the constant pressure to be better than others. It allows you to walk in your own truth at your own pace without the need to measure up to anyone else. It allows you to live authentically, to pursue what truly matters to you, and to create a life that aligns with your values and desires, not the expectations of others. When you take full ownership of your worth, you become unstoppable. You stop looking to others to tell you who you are or what you're capable of. You stop allowing others' judgments to influence your decisions or actions. You take charge of your own narrative. You start to trust in your own instincts, in your own voice, and in your own abilities. And when you do that, nothing can stand in your way. Because the most powerful thing you can have in life is a deep belief in your own worth. So remember this: you are worthy. Your worth is not dependent on anyone else's opinion. It is not tied to your past, your failures, your successes, or your mistakes. It is rooted in who you are, in your very being. When you embrace this truth, you unlock your full potential and take control of your life in a way that no one else can. Your worth is self-defined and it is unshakable. Never let anyone or anything make you doubt that. Life has a way of testing us. No matter how much we prepare or how carefully we chart our course, obstacles will arise. They're inevitable. And they don't always come in the form of big, dramatic events. Sometimes they come quietly, slipping into your life in the form of doubts, frustrations, and the relentless pressure of trying to meet the expectations of the world around you. They might come as failures or missed opportunities, as challenges you weren't prepared for, or as circumstances that seem unfair or beyond your control. But what truly matters, what defines the course of your life, is not whether or not obstacles come your way, it's how you face them. It's your ability to overcome them with resilience. Resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's the mental toughness to persevere in the face of adversity. It's the strength to continue moving forward when the odds seem stacked against you, when life feels like it's throwing every challenge your way. But resilience isn't just about bouncing back from hard times, it's about using those hard times to build something greater. It's about transforming your struggle into strength. It's about becoming a person who, instead of breaking under pressure, bends and grows, and ultimately becomes unshakable. The first thing to understand about overcoming obstacles with resilience is that you're not expected to be perfect. The world doesn't demand perfection. No one expects you to always get it right. Life is not a straight line, and success is not a linear journey. You will make mistakes. You will stumble. You will encounter setbacks. But it's in these moments of imperfection that you find your true power. You don't learn from your successes as much as you do from your failures. Your failures teach you patience, persistence, and grit. They show you where your weaknesses lie so you can strengthen them. And when you keep going in the face of these setbacks, that's when you build resilience. In the face of obstacles, the temptation to quit is always there. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned, when doors close, or when the road ahead seems too difficult to travel. You may find yourself questioning your abilities, wondering if you're cut out for the path you've chosen. But the truth is that those moments of doubt are normal. They don't define who you are. What defines you is what you do when doubt creeps in. Do you give up, or do you keep going? Do you let the challenge defeat you, or do you rise to meet it with everything you've got? Resilience is about refusing to let your circumstances dictate your future. It's about choosing to get back up after every fall, to push through when everything inside you tells you to stop. One of the most important aspects of resilience is the ability to reframe challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, start seeing them as opportunities. It may sound counterintuitive, but adversity has the potential to teach us some of the most valuable lessons in life. It forces us to think creatively, to innovate, to find solutions we might never have considered if everything were easy. Challenges reveal your true character. They show you who you are when the pressure is on. And it's in these moments when you're tested to your core, that you discover your ability to rise. You discover your strength, your resolve, and your determination. But resilience doesn't just emerge from facing adversity. It's something that must be cultivated over time. It's something you develop through your attitude, your actions, and your mindset. You can train yourself to be more resilient, just like you can train yourself to be more physically fit or mentally sharp. It starts with embracing the idea that life will never be without challenges. You'll never be completely free from hardship, but that doesn't have to be a negative thing. Instead of fearing obstacles, start seeing them as the teachers they are. Each time you overcome one, you become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever comes next. One way to build resilience is by practicing self-compassion. When you encounter difficulties, it's easy to turn on yourself, to criticize your every move, and to feel like you're failing. But self-compassion is the antidote to this self-criticism. When you make a mistake or when things don't go your way, be kind to yourself. Acknowledge the difficulty and give yourself permission to be imperfect. You're human, and that means you'll have moments of weakness, of failure, of doubt. But instead of beating yourself up, treat yourself with the same care and kindness you would extend to a friend. Recognize that you're doing your best, and that's enough. Over time, this self-compassion will help you build a resilient mindset. One that doesn't get bogged down by every step. It's the thing that reminds you that your struggle is not in vain. That every difficulty you face is part of something bigger, something more meaningful. Sometimes resilience means asking for help. In our society, there's often a stigma around asking for help. We're taught to be independent, to figure things out on our own. But resilience doesn't mean going it alone. It means knowing when to lean on others, when to seek support, and when to accept guidance. There's strength in asking for help. It doesn't make you weak. In fact, it takes a great deal of courage to admit that you can't do it all by yourself. Whether it's reaching out to a mentor, confiding in a friend, or seeking professional help, there's no shame in asking for support when you need it. The people who support you can help you see things from a new perspective, offer advice, or simply provide emotional encouragement when you're feeling low. Resilience is not about doing everything on your own. It's about knowing when to draw strength from the people around you. Another critical aspect of resilience is the ability to adapt. Obstacles often require us to pivot, to change course, or to adjust our plans. The best way to overcome obstacles is not always through sheer force, but through flexibility. Life rarely goes according to plan. And when things don't unfold the way you imagine, it's important to stay open to new possibilities. Resilient people are adaptable. They don't see change as a threat, they see it as an opportunity for growth. When one door closes, they're ready to find another door, or perhaps build one themselves. They don't waste time lamenting what they can't control. They focus on what they can control and move forward with that. It's also essential to understand that resilience is not about avoiding pain or hardship. It's not about pretending that everything is okay when it's not. Resilience means facing pain head on, feeling it, experiencing it fully, and then finding a way to keep moving forward. You will experience hardship and you will feel pain. But that pain is not permanent. It's temporary. And once you've moved through it, you'll come out the other side stronger and more capable than before. One of the greatest tests of resilience comes when you encounter failure. We all fail at some point in our lives, whether it's in a relationship, a career, or a personal goal. Failure can feel like a crushing defeat, and it can shake your confidence. But the resilient person understands that failure is not the end of the road. It's simply a part of the journey. Failure teaches us more than success ever could. It shows us where we need to improve, where we need to grow, and what we can do differently next time. The key is to not allow failure to define you. Don't let it dictate who you are or what you're capable of. Learn from it, grow from it, and keep going. At the end of the day, resilience is about persistence. It's about continuing to move forward, even when the path is uncertain, even when it feels like the odds are against you, even when it seems like the universe is conspiring to keep you down. Resilience is the quiet determination that you're not going to give up no matter what. You're going to get back up every time you fall, and you're going to keep moving forward step by step until you reach the other side. And when you do, you'll find that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Because resilience doesn't just help you overcome obstacles, it helps you build the life you were meant to live. There is a quiet power in not waiting for validation from others. It's the kind of power that comes from knowing that your worth is inherent and doesn't require the approval or affirmation of anyone else. It's the kind of power that can transform your life, turning it from one that is shaped by the expectations and judgments of others into one that is directed by your own vision, your own values, and your own purpose. The problem is that for many of us, this is difficult to accept. We live in a world that constantly tells us to seek validation. From social media to corporate ladders to even our personal relationships, there is an overwhelming pressure to gain approval, recognition, and admiration from others. But the truth is, when you wait for others to validate your worth, you give away your power. You put your sense of self in someone else's hands, and that is a dangerous place to be. You were not put on this earth to constantly seek validation. You were not born to live a life defined by the opinions of others. When you live for the validation of those around you, you're allowing other people's perceptions to dictate your actions, decisions, and self-worth. You're living according to someone else's standard of success, happiness, and fulfillment. And in doing so, you lose sight of your own truth. You lose sight of who you are and what you're capable of. If you live for validation, you are always going to be chasing something that is fleeting. Validation is external. It depends on others, on how they perceive you, how they react to you, and how they evaluate your worth. But self-worth, true self-worth, comes from within. It is something that no one can give you and no one can take away from you. The key to living a fulfilling life is understanding that you are enough exactly as you are. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to seek the approval of your peers, your family, or society. You are worthy simply because you exist. The value you bring to the world is not determined by the recognition you receive or by the accolades that others bestow upon you. It is intrinsic, a part of who you are at your core. When you stop waiting for validation, you free yourself from the constraints that hold you back. You give yourself permission to pursue what truly matters to you, to take risks, to fail, to succeed, and to grow without the fear of judgment or rejection. Waiting for validation, unfortunately, is something we are all too familiar with. Whether it's a desire to be acknowledged for our work, our appearance, or our abilities, the need for external validation is something we are constantly bombarded with. Social media has amplified this desire, turning it into an almost obsessive need for likes, comments, and shares. People are constantly seeking approval from others, trying to present a curated version of their lives that fits within the expectations of society. We are encouraged to measure our worth based on how many people approve of us, how many people follow us, or how many people give us their approval. But this is a dangerous game to play because external validation is always fleeting. It's never enough. It's never constant. As soon as you get the validation you sought, you'll find that it doesn't satisfy you in the way you thought it would. And soon enough, you'll be chasing the next round of approval, the next measure of success, the next affirmation. When you live for validation, you are never truly living for yourself. You are living for the opinions of others. And that means that you are always vulnerable to being let down because other people's perceptions of you will change. One day they will praise you, the next they may criticize you. They will have their own moods, biases, and judgments, and you will constantly find yourself adjusting who you are, what you do, and how you present yourself in order to fit into their view of you. This is an exhausting, never-ending cycle, and it's one that will ultimately keep you from living authentically. It will prevent you from stepping into your full potential because you will always be seeking approval from others rather than listening to your own voice. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should completely disregard the opinions of others or shut out feedback entirely. Constructive criticism can be incredibly valuable. The opinions of those who genuinely care for you can help you grow and improve. But there's a difference between seeking feedback and relying on validation. The former comes from a desire to improve, to grow, and to become better. The latter comes from a fear of rejection, a need to feel accepted, a longing to be approved of. You must learn to differentiate between the two. When you seek validation, you're looking for approval that may or may not align with your values. When you seek feedback, you're looking for ways to improve and to evolve, not to seek external approval. What would happen if you stopped waiting for validation from others? What if you decided that your actions, your goals, and your sense of self-worth were no longer dependent on how others saw you or what they thought of you? Imagine how freeing that would be. Imagine how powerful it would be to walk into a room and not worry about what anyone else thought of you. Imagine setting your own standards of success and measuring yourself by those standards, not by what others deem important. Imagine making decisions based on your own values and your own desires without second-guessing yourself based on what you think others will think. When you stop waiting for validation, you give yourself the freedom to take ownership of your life. You stop living for the opinions of others and start living for yourself. You stop asking for permission to be who you are, and instead you step into your own power. You make choices that align with your true self, not the self that others expect or want you to be. You stop hiding behind the mask of who you think people want you to be, and you show up authentically, unapologetically as you. The moment you stop waiting for validation, you also stop living in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being wrong, fear of failure. All these fears stem from the need for external validation. You're afraid of not meeting someone else's expectations, afraid of not living up to someone else's standards. But when you stop seeking approval from others, that fear dissolves. You're no longer concerned with what others think because you're more concerned with living your truth. You take bold risks, you take chances, you trust yourself, your instincts, and your abilities. Living without the need for validation also means that you become more resilient. When you stop waiting for others to approve of you, you no longer take their disapproval personally. You are no longer crushed by criticism or deflated by rejection. Instead, you learn to rely on your own inner strength to move forward, even in the face of doubt or negativity. You understand that criticism is not a reflection of your worth, but an opportunity to learn and grow. Rejection is not a personal attack, but a redirection towards something better suited to you. The truth is, there will always be people who won't understand you, who won't support your goals, or who won't approve of the choices you make. That's a fact of life. But you can't let their opinions dictate the direction of your life. You can't let their doubts hold you back from pursuing your dreams. When you give up the need for validation, you liberate yourself from the need for approval that holds you in place. You allow yourself to step into the unknown, to take risks, and to pursue your dreams with confidence and clarity. You are the one who gets to define your worth. You are the one who gets to set the terms of your success. No one else can tell you what your life should look like, what your dreams should be, or what your worth is. It's not for anyone else to decide. And once you realize that, once you truly understand that your worth is self-defined and not dependent on anyone else's approval, you will stop waiting for validation. You will no longer look to others to tell you who you are or what you're capable of. You will trust yourself, your vision, and your path. The only validation that truly matters is the validation you give yourself. When you wake up in the morning, do you approve of who you are? When you look in the mirror, do you recognize the person staring back at you and feel proud of the person you become? When you make decisions, do they align with your core values, your passions, and your purpose? If the answer is yes, then you don't need anyone else to validate you. You are already enough. You are already worthy. So stop waiting. Stop waiting for others to give you permission to be yourself. Stop waiting for others to tell you that you're good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. You are enough right now as you are. Your journey is yours to define, and the only person who needs to approve of it is you. When you stop seeking validation, you free yourself to live the life you were meant to live boldly, authentically, and without apology. And that is a life worth living. There is a quiet strength that comes from being underestimated. It doesn't always feel like strength in the moment, especially when others doubt your abilities, question your potential, or dismiss your ideas. It can sting when you see others achieving what you desire or when people around you don't believe you can make it. But the truth is, being underestimated is one of the most powerful positions you can be in. It's a position of opportunity, a space where you can surprise everyone, including yourself, by showing just what you're capable of. And make no mistake, people will regret underestimating you. When people doubt you, They reveal more about themselves than they do about you. It's easy to assume that others can see your potential, especially when you know your own worth. But the reality is that people often see what's in front of them, not the vast depth of your capabilities. They see your present self, not your future possibilities. They judge you based on what they know, which is usually limited. They look at your background, your current circumstances, your past mistakes, and sometimes they even look at the surface level aspects of who you are. What they fail to see is the full picture of the person you are becoming, the lessons you've learned, the resilience you've built, and the fire that burns within you. There is a saying that people often judge you by your failures, but they measure your success by their expectations. When you are underestimated, it's because others have placed limits on you. They've decided, based on their perceptions, that you can only go so far. They've decided what you can and can't do, often without understanding the depth of your willpower or the power of your determination. But what they fail to realize is that limits are often self-imposed. People underestimate you because they don't see the whole you, and they certainly don't see the obstacles you've overcome or the growth you've experienced along the way. What's most important, however, is how you respond to this underestimation. Do you accept it? Do you shrink back and let it define you, or do you use it as fuel? One of the most powerful ways to prove someone wrong is not by speaking about your potential, but by showing it through your actions. Words may fall on deaf ears, but the results you create will make the doubters sit up and take notice. There's no better way to deal with people underestimating you than by going out and showing them exactly what you're made of. Actions, not words, speak the loudest. And when you exceed expectations, you do so in a way that leaves people wondering how they could have been so blind. People underestimate others for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's because they don't understand what drives you. Sometimes it's because they've never had to face the obstacles you faced and they don't know the depth of your resilience. Sometimes they underestimate you simply because they are unable to see beyond the surface. It's easy to make judgments based on appearances, titles, or initial impressions. But the most successful people in life are often the ones who fly under the radar, the ones who were dismissed as unremarkable, the ones who were underestimated. These people don't have the loudest voices, but their actions and achievements speak volumes. Underestimation is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it can be frustrating, even painful, to feel like no one believes in you. It can feel isolating to put your heart and soul into something and not have others see the value of it. But on the other hand, being underestimated gives you an edge. It gives you the space to work in silence, to develop your craft, to sharpen your skills without anyone watching. When no one expects you to succeed, you don't have to deal with the pressure of others' expectations. You are free to make mistakes, to take risks, to fail, and to try again without the weight of everyone's eyes on you. And when you do succeed, when you defy the odds and show up in a way that surprises people, it is all the more rewarding. There's also a level of freedom that comes with not being seen as a threat. When you're underestimated, people often don't see you coming. They write you off too soon. And that is a mistake. People who are underestimated can often find creative solutions, think outside the box, and execute their plans with a level of stealth that people who are constantly under the spotlight can't always achieve. They have the space to innovate, to grow, and to push beyond what others think is possible. When you're underestimated, you have room to move freely and show the world what you can do without the burden of everyone watching your every move. You can use that space to refine your skills, to hone your strengths, and to build something great. You can take the time to gather your resources, to learn from your mistakes, and to develop your craft in a way that will leave people stunned when they finally realize just how much you've accomplished. When the time comes for you to step into the spotlight, it won't be about proving people wrong. It will be about showing them who you really are and what you're truly capable of. People will always regret underestimating you because they can't see the future you're building. They can't predict the trajectory of your growth or the strength of your resolve. They may see your current circumstances or past failures, but they don't see the fire inside you that's driving you to reach higher, to push further, to aim beyond what they thought was possible. You have the power to shape your own destiny regardless of what anyone else thinks or says. When you stop waiting for validation or approval, you create space for your true potential to unfold. You stop seeking permission from others and start making things happen on your own terms. The best revenge against underestimation is success. Success doesn't need to be loud or boastful. It doesn't need to be accompanied by fireworks or fanfare. Sometimes the most powerful success is the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't announce itself but speaks for itself through results. It's the success that comes after months or even years of hard work, persistence and quiet determination. It's the success that surprises people because they never saw it coming. They never realized how much you were capable of, how much you were learning, growing, and working behind the scenes. When people underestimate you, it's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of more than they ever imagined. It's about showing up for yourself and fulfilling your own potential. And when you do that, you'll find that you don't need anyone else's validation to feel accomplished. Their regret won't be for you, it will be for themselves. They'll regret underestimating you because they'll realize that they missed the opportunity to see your greatness when they had the chance. They'll look back and wonder why they didn't recognize the strength and potential in you sooner. But the important thing is that you never let someone else's doubt dictate your actions or your confidence. You can't control what other people think of you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to take their doubt as a challenge, as fuel to prove to yourself that you are capable of so much more than they realize. You can choose to show them, not with words, but with your results, just how wrong they were. In the end, the people who underestimate you will regret it. Not because you seek revenge, but because your success will speak volumes. They will regret the missed opportunities to believe in you, the times they dismissed your ideas or doubted your potential. But by that time, their opinions won't matter. You will have moved on, built your success, and proven to yourself that you are more than capable. And as for the ones who underestimated you, they'll just have to live with the knowledge that they couldn't see the greatness within you when it was right in front of them. But that, in the end, is their loss, not yours. Your future will be brighter than they could have ever imagined. And their regret will be the proof of just how much you were always capable of.